What's up, J Fusion fans, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to talk about Kamen Rider Zero One, episode 42. Now, before we begin, I would like to say that this video is not intended for children or viewers under the age of 13. And second, major spoilers, by the way. So if you haven't seen episode 42 yet, I highly recommend that you watch it first and then come back to this video. Otherwise, enjoy. Alright, so now that's out of the way, let's talk about Kamen Rider Zero One, episode 42. So, what basically happens, okay, to summarize the episode, is that uh, Izu is destroyed by Horobi, which causes Aruto to become so depressed that he becomes Kamen Rider Arc 1. Okay, so for a more detailed summary, at least, so Horobi goes around the city, causing trouble and causing destruction with his goal of destroying humanity. So of course, Vulcan and Valkyrie try to stop him, and of course, a bit later on, Zero One also joins in and turns back all the Huma gears to normal using his Progrise Hopper blade. And seeing that he is defeated, at least this time, Horobi makes or Horobi retreats, but while retreating, he is stopped by Izu, who tries to convince him to let go of his hatred for humanity. But uh, a uh, a rather confused Horobi, who seems to be having an identity crisis, shoots Izu with his attached arrow, destroying her. So Aruto uh, hears the explosion and rushes to find Izu, rushes to the scene only to find Izu al- almost destroyed, with just enough time for her to say goodbye to Aruto, and then boom, she explodes. So, of course, Aruto is sad, angry, and depressed, all those negative emotions flowing into him. And, of course, perfect timing, from out of nowhere, Azu comes in and hands over the Arc 1 Progrise key to Aruto. Therefore, Aruto transforms into Kamen Rider Arc 1. So that's what happened. Now, for this to happen, now let's go back to why it happened. So I did mention earlier that Horobi, goes around the city and causes some damage, causes some trouble because he wanted to destroy humans. Now, in the previous episode, uh, Kamen Rider Arc has been defeated, and therefore, uh, presumably, there should be no more Arc, right? However, of course, we do find out that Arc is still very much active and uh, is looking for another opportunity to strike. So, for Metsubojinai.net, it should be over, right? But Horobi says that uh, in a weird way. So he thanks Aruto for giving him a dream, but he states that his dream is to exterminate humanity, as he has always been spouting, ever since Metsuboji Net has been introduced. So, of course, Horobi's rather twisted dream uh, is basically the cause for all this. And, you know, you would assume that Horobi, because he has already been Kamen Rider Arc a few times, uh, you might think that he would also be Arc 1, but There were scans, there were preview images of Horobi actually fighting against Kamen Rider Arc 1. So it is, in fact, not Horobi. So we do see that it is, in fact, Aruto. So the reason why I think Horobi did not become Arc 1 is, well, he rejected Arc. He went against Arc's will. Ironically, considering that Horobi has been the leader of Metsubo Jinrainet, and his tagline, his motto was everything is Arc's will, or as Arc's will. So yeah, so that's been his shtick for most of the show. But he finally breaks free from Arc, but still his desire was to destroy humanity. But this time it's his own volition. So that's basically the root cause of all this mayhem in episode 42. Now, regarding Izu's destruction, was it really a necessary thing? Was it really necessary? Did it really have to happen? Now, if you look at that scene, uh, Jin arrives, and he's the only one between Horobi and Izu. So you probably would have thought that he could have stopped it, right? So he could have transformed and saved Izu or whatnot. Or maybe, again, Jin was there, but maybe Horobi was quicker to the draw with his uh, attached arrow. But from a narrative standpoint, from the writer's perspective, let's look at this from that view. I would say that it was necessary. So, we do need a catalyst for Kamen Rider Arc 1 to make its debut. It's already been promoted, so how are we going to usher in the arrival of Arc 1? We can't just, pull him out of nowhere, right? So there has to be a reason why Arc 1 would actually come into existence. Yes, if we go back to episode 35.5, which is technically a filler episode, so Azu creates the Arc 1 Progrise key, and of course, we know that it's going to appear one way or another later on, and this is it. So, how are we going to execute that, right? How are the writers going to execute that? So let's think from the writer's view again. So that's why, okay. So we need a reason for someone to become uh, Arc 1, and I would say there's no other person who would fit Arc 1, at least in that very episode. There's no one other than Aruto who could fit that role. So again, seeing Izu explode in front of his eyes, he experiences the same trauma that he experienced many, many years ago with the destruction of his Humagear father, Soreo. Again, going back to that daybreak incident 12 years prior to the start of the series. So, while Soreo's destruction was a motivator for Aruto to become what he is, for the most part, I do see that there's still some trauma left in him. There's still a lot of pain. There's still a lot of suffering. He probably still suffers from nightmares because of that. And seeing that happen again, but this time with Izu, those cracks completely break open. The cracks in Naruto's heart that probably never healed, they were torn wide open once again. And I don't know, but this should just be a natural reaction for anyone who experiences such a loss, you know, to just be completely broken. You know, seeing Izu, that the only uh, being that, you know, was practically by his side all the time, Naruto just lost it, you know. And then here comes Azu, and probably not understanding what or who Azu really is. Haruto is just really happy to see her. You know, Izu is destroyed, so of course a replacement, or at least someone that uh, completely or highly resembles Izu, would make Naruto happy. So he does make somewhat of a quick recovery, but his recovery from that shock, you know, uh, his attachment to Izu, like, screw everything. Here's another Izu in front of me. I don't care about anything else. And she hands him the progress key for Arc 1, and, well, again, being Naruto, like, screw it, I'm going to destroy Horobi. So, you know, it's his rage against Horobi, all that sadness, seeing Izu explode right in front of him, and probably, uh, again, reminding him of the trauma that he had by witnessing Sorio's destruction as well. So we have that sadness. He has anger. Probably he's angry at himself for not being there to save Izu on time, or not noticing that Izu was actually going to try and stop Horobi. And of course, there's this very strong feeling of revenge that Naruto has, again, towards Horobi. And all those negative emotions, like, that stem from his attachment to Izu, uh, that trauma from seeing Soryo being destroyed. So all those, kind of came together in a concoction of dark emotions that before Aruto was able to fight off because he had Izu by his side, and now without Izu, you know what? Let's just embrace the darkness, And again, that makes sense from a narrative perspective. So, well, of course, we it's not going to be presumption anymore, but it's going to happen anyway. Aruto's going to recover properly. He's going to come back. He's going to be better than ever. And of course, he will soon realize. He will quickly realize that becoming Arc One is a mistake, and he must do everything that he can to defeat Arc once and for all. And yeah, it's just gonna happen one way or another. We know it for a fact. Uh, Even without the you know previews, like, it's just the logical step. It's the next logical step. Now, concerning Izu and her possible return, yes, it is possible that she's gonna return. No, I'm not saying it's possible. It's going to happen. So, how is it going to happen? Now, if you guys remember, the Zero Two driver was created from Izu's memory. So, that memory device became uh, the Zero Two driver for some reason. It just popped out of her head and then it transformed whatever. So yes, that device right there is the key to Izu's return. Now, when we see Naruto after the battle, he did not do anything to the Zero Two driver. He did not destroy it. He did not throw it away. It should still be with him. No, he's just not using it because he was given the Arc One Progress key and of course the Arc driver. So uh, of course when once Naruto realizes that Izu can still be brought back, he does have that key right there and probably just make a new Izu out of that. That's what I'm gonna see. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, that's what's gonna happen probably in the finale. But again, it's going to happen. Izu is going to come back one way or another, but we're going to use the Zero Two driver for that to happen. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. I do know that there's a lot of back and forth happening here, but I hope you guys enjoyed this review of episode 42 Kamen Rider Zero One, and yeah, please like this video, comment, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JE Fusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.